I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me today. Thank you, Michael, for a lovely introduction. My name, as Michael mentioned, is Gary R. Albrecht, founder and CEO of GPA Trading Services, the creator of a very unique software called the Market Price Anticipator Premium Edition 2 software. I'm also the educator and instructor of the software for our live trading classes, and of course, utilizing that same software for our trade alerts. And today I would like to have some fun with you guys discussing the virtues of using trading software. It can be exciting and profitable when executed correctly, and that's where I come in. So, to start off in our presentation today, I have a couple of slides. If you have not already visited our website, here's a screenshot of our website, GPA Trading Services. We invite you to visit to see our services. Today's topic, we're going to discuss how to identify and capitalize on market reversals utilizing the MPAP2 software. There are certain features and components utilized along with the software that will show you some bold examples. Gold was one of them. We were in a long trade to the downside on gold, over $65+ move down on gold. We had a reversal manifest. The software anticipated it in advance, looking for the beautiful market reversal. We closed that short trade, went long, and we're sitting up over $40 on gold as it surged today. We'll show you that later. But first, the common disclaimer. As you know, trading involves risk. Do not trade with money you cannot afford to lose. Always trade with protective stops. You should adhere to a strict money management rule. And of course, all information provided by GPA Trading Services is for your educational purposes. So, what are those key components used in identifying to capitalize on market reversals? I think you're hearing a recurring theme. Support and resistance is critical. I personally don't trade the news. I'm a technical trader, but I noticed from 20+ years of trading and over 12+ years of developing and fine-tuning this wonderful software that support and resistance is a critical component. Also, the direction of the trend. You must understand utilizing multiple time frames is a huge benefit. Also, price action and price patterns. What are the charts telling us? Well, this software has an uncanny ability to not only help us hear what the markets are telling us, but to give us a visual picture of exactly what the markets are telling us. And then finally, understanding how lower time frames cycle within larger time frames. You may ask yourself, well, why the Market Price Anticipator Premium Edition 2 software? I promise you, it's unlike any other software you've seen. It defies conventional wisdom. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a common understanding that oscillating indicators will not work in trending markets. They're fine in consolidating markets that are going up and down, but they certainly are terrible when working and trying to trade trending markets. Well, we'll show you that this software is different. This software actually has leading indicators. It will tell you in advance where the markets are going, and of course it gives you warning signs should those indications or situations change. It does, of course, use multiple time frames, and as you will see, it does anticipate future market conditions. Some of you out there are options traders, and we have several students that are members of our service that are true option traders. They're not forex traders. And some of you may not be aware that trading software can truly supercharge your results when utilizing the proper techniques and the proper software. Here's some comments from some of our very successful option trading students that utilize the software. I'll just read, basically paraphrase a few of these. He exited my short position a little early, but I still made $1,200. Then I re-entered later for a day trade and made $300, both using options. Another student says, if I had done it on my own, I would have bailed on it long ago for a loss. Now I'm looking at making a profit. And if black gold, as we nickname oil, obviously, black gold Texas tea, the Beverly Hillbillies, if that comes through, then I'll have enough funds to pay for my subscription. And this is an individual that joined us just a few months ago. He's already not only paid for his membership, he signed up for an annual membership. In a couple of trades, he's made more than enough for his annual membership. Here's another one. Thanks for all your hard work in developing the system. As price proves intention, it's my ability to use the system to keep improving, such that I'm going to drop my financial advisor in several newsletters I'm currently subscribed to. I applied for a forex account to be added to my thinkorswim account. This is a strict, hardcore options trader that learned the benefits of utilizing the software. And he goes on to say, once I gain more time, I can't wait to use the software with a new platform to help my brokers in Australia and Switzerland to do something with my money. His brokers were struggling to make him money. Now he has the opportunity to tell his brokers what to do with those funds. We continue. The gold trades in Gary's daily GMF, that's for Gary's market forecast, on gold have gone a long way in helping me with the overall understanding how the system can be used and managed in both directions. The Gilead trade from last week was an option spread, and it looks like I'm well in excess of an 80% return on investment in as little as 2 weeks. I can honestly say I have only had a few like that in the past couple of years and realize now that they were blind luck. The Gilead was actually a planned trade based on the GPA software and Gary's teaching combined with what I had learned in the School of Hard Knocks on options. I look forward to many more of these as my experience with the software grows. It is very difficult, if at all possible, to make a trade without the MPAP2 software. Wow, what an endorsement. And this is an option trader that for years, I don't need indicators. I don't require software. And look at what it's done for him. Okay, now we go on and say, well, I have a successful trading strategy. Just 1 second, please. I have a successful trading strategy. Well, you know the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. No, you simply supercharge it with the MPAP2 software. This software will supercharge any successful strategy, and I'll show you why. Whether you're using Fibonacci's, Elliott wave, other types of techniques, previous highs, there's all sorts of breakout strategies, there's all sorts of successful strategies, and this software will confirm and supercharge those results. It helps provide specific timing of entries. Keyword, timing of entries. And as you've heard today, it's just as important, if not more important, not when to enter, but when are we supposed to exit and when are we supposed to take profits along the way? How else are you going to let your winning trades run unless you have some sort of gauge to know, well, it's expected to go higher, price action's proving, breaking resistance, turning it to support as it climbs, then you should continue into the trend. And of course, the bottom line with any strategy, any software, any type of trading system, it must build confidence for you to pull the trigger. Many times you'll look at a chart and you say, well, I knew it was going to do that, but you didn't have the nerve to go ahead and pull the trigger. This software will do it for you. Now, let's go to the charts to demonstrate how these components, support and resistance, multiple time frames, price pattern reversals, other tools and components contribute to your ability to identify and capitalize on market reversals. As I pull up my first chart, it was Adobe. Adobe is one of the stocks that we've been watching in our classes. Notice Adobe, and I have several things highlighted between Fibonacci retracements and continuations. This software and market reversals, why is the software so excellent at market reversals? Well, the first thing is you need to find a major resistance level, in this case for a reversal to the downside, and a major support level for a reversal to the upside. And notice, call your attention to the aqua color line. This is where we had a daily time frame topping and rolling. At the same time, we had our weekly time frame topping and rolling as well. So we have multiple time frames aligning together, stating that it's time for a downward motion, downward move, and we wanted to capitalize. Now the question is this downward direction ultimately a major trend reversal, and we're starting to get lower highs and lower lows for a long term, or is this simply a reversal before then a trend continuation? Well, notice how the software helped anticipate this in advance, and we'll notice a couple of things. We have, with our special software, it's proprietary software, it includes a slingshot trigger indicator. And this is the formation of slingshots that we specifically define, and I don't have time to review all of that today, but we will do that in our classes, educational videos, etc. But we see that the daily tried to, in what we call slingshot higher, it did move up, but it failed. So we had a high, a low, a lower high. And this can be anticipated in advance because notice the software. When it starts to race off, it takes literally on a daily time frame, it takes days, and these are daily candles, before it forms, then engages. As it engaged higher, it made a lower high. As soon as it failed and turned back over, we tell you specifically these rules of engagement, that's a selling opportunity. Well, why would we expect the daily to fail? Because it's trying to climb higher in slingshot against a weekly moving lower. Everybody see that? It's very simple. Any Star Trek fans out there? Everybody remember Leonard Nimoy, Spock? Spock always said it's logical. This system, no matter how you slice it, is the most logical system you'll ever see because of the multiple time frame analysis and these clear, keen signs when to take profits, when to get out of trades, when to get into trade. So notice, as the daily finally bottomed, it proceeded to slingshot lower, right there, slingshot lower, right there, that small one, slingshot lower again, this one, slingshot, that one. Then it proceeded once something changed. The market conditions were, the weekly was pushing lower all this time, so we can anticipate the daily to exhibit this very specific behavior. And notice, every time we get a slingshot action, we know exactly when to enter because the software pegs it and dictates it's time to sell that rally. Knowing that when I look left, my lower time frames are in overbought conditions. I look right, my weekly was moving lower, so we sell the rallies in a downtrend. Well, what changed between this downward direction and all of a sudden my daily was slingshotting lower, lower and lower, to ultimately trying to do it again right here, but failing? Now we have a price pattern reversal to the upside. And what changed? My weekly changed. My weekly changed direction and started to engage in a slingshot of its own. See how easy this is? So this system, you're going to look left and you're going to look right. How can I benefit as a trader to know when market reversals are about to happen? A, they're never going to happen unless you have support or resistance blocking the direction of the move. And B, you must have multiple time frames in agreement aligning to tell you it's ready for the down move. Then you need a keen software that anticipates this and gives you clear entries based on this phenomenon of slingshots, trend continuation mode. Well, this is where I meant by conventional wisdom is defied. Why? Because oscillating indicators are not supposed to do this. Well, this proprietary indicators does that exactly. Now notice to the right of this line, it tries to slingshot lower, fails, then it persists to do what? Slingshot higher, up, then another little small one, slingshot higher, up, and it broke the previous high, meaning that this downward move which was significant, several dollars. It went from a high of the 70 handle to a low of 57. That is a huge move. Could you have made money, option traders, if you had the insight and the continuation of trend continuation moves? And the insight that the software then pegged a reversal to the upside, getting us in, a reversal to the downside, getting us back in the opposite direction. And notice it slingshot higher. Well, again, what's the difference? The difference on the right side of this equation is my weekly is pushing higher. My weekly is pushing higher. On the left side, the weekly was pushing lower. So notice the software. Even on the weekly, slingshot higher and higher and higher. Guess what? My monthly is moving higher over here. Let's look at some other examples. Netflix. Netflix, the same exact thing. Weekly topping, daily topping. We see a reversal, tried to slingshot higher, reversal here and failed, then persisted to bottom, slingshot lower, bottom, slingshot lower. You notice each time, slingshot lower. So what's my entry? When the slingshots engage, that's when you enter. Slingshot forming engages, that's when you enter. Then all of a sudden it tried to do it on this side of the equation. Uh-oh, it failed. Again, what's the difference? On the left side, the weekly's moving lower. On the right side, the weekly's not only starting to move higher, but it's engaging higher. So we're able to anticipate in advance and tell you days in advance, hey, over the next 3 to 4 days when that slingshot forms, whether it's day 1, day 2, day 3, you want to sell it as long as the weekly's still pushing lower. And sure enough, the weekly was still pushing lower at that time and didn't start engaging to over here. They were still sloping down until they all turn. Again, we'll discuss that in class so everyone knows that terminology. But this goes on and on. J&J. Notice the same thing. Slingshot higher, 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 higher. And even on this latest surge, my monthly is clearly overbought conditions, but what is it doing? It's slingshotting higher. See that? So what can I do when I know my monthly's pushing higher? I can buy the dips and then trade the slingshots. IBM. Doing something different. IBM setting up differently, but notice the same. Trend reversal. We had a high, we had a low, we had a lower high. The markets are telling us there's resistance up here, and it tried to rally back towards it with this slingshot right there, but it failed. What do you mean failed? It failed to make a higher high. So as it failed, that's an entry to go short. Why? Because guess who's sitting in overbought conditions turning over? Wow. Incredible. Over and over and over. So since then, what has the daily done? Tried to slingshot higher, failed again, right there. Turned into a slingshot lower, sell. Bounced, sell the rally in a downtrend. Well, when is the rally over? Is it here? Is it this day? Is it that day? Is it the next day? When is the rally over? When the slingshot engages, sell. Bounces again. When does it over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Oh, is that the over of this slingshot here? Kept going higher, wasn't engaging until here. Bingo, that's when we sell. So notice the chart. We're using Fibonacci style retracements. We use everything you need to know to be a successful trader. But we're even giving you exact targets where it should bounce and reverse as we did these last two. And why? Because guess who's turning and rolling over? The weekly. Am I getting your attention? Well, you think, well, is that just stocks? What about forex? What about gold? What about some of the others? Well, the Dow. Look at the Dow. The Dow's been on a tremendous upsurge, thanks to the government backing and buying our toxic debt. But needless to say, we see what? Same principle. We have a weekly bottoming. It surges higher to slingshot lower right here and fails. It turns and hooks out as it fails. That's an entry to go long because my monthly's headed higher. Then the weekly decides to do what? Slingshot higher. Do what? Slingshot higher. Do what? Over and over and over and over and over. So there are many strategies out there. Well, once we get a pullback and we see it break this level, come back and test it as support, right? This is resistance here. It breaks the level, tests as support. Well, guess what? This software would have got you in way down here days in advance of this break in reversal and test. And what did it do as it tested? It gave you another little mini slingshot right there. How cool is that? So that's part of the equation. Even in the strongest of trending markets, this software pegs it, gives you perfect timing for entries based on support and resistance. So again, if I'm one of those traders that draws my support and resistance, and I see, look, former resistance here turning to support, when do I buy it? 1 day, 2 days, 3, and this is weeklies now. This is a weekly. This week, that week, this week, this week, what week? When it engages. And then again, nice correction. When do I buy? When do I buy? When do I buy the dip in the uptrend? When it engages. Let's go on and show you something very powerful. Gold. We send out trade alerts where we literally tell you exactly what the software is anticipated to do so that when it fulfills that anticipated move, you act accordingly. So gold, for example, was in the process of nice downtrend. Right? Beautiful downtrend. Selling the rallies, tried to slingshot higher, reversal. Tried to slingshot higher right there, failed. Turned and hooked out, that's a sell. Tried it again, failed, that's a sell. It bottoms, slingshots lower. Slingshots lower and lower, right? Corrective phase. Still pegs the markets over and over. And this is on a weekly. So I can do the same thing on a 5-minute, a 15, a 30, a 1 hour, 4 hour, multiple time frames. So the key is when I'm ready to sell or buy type of slingshot, I need to look to the left, where are the lower time frames, and I look to the right, where are the higher. It's a simple matter of clicking the button, and there you see it. So why is this such a bold move on gold? Gold's up at 13.18. Well, here's proof. When this downtrend was underway, this is a picture of our actual automated trade management system that will manage the trade from start to finish. But as gold started to slingshot lower and lower and lower and lower, we're riding that wave, ladies and gentlemen. $65+ move and counting on gold to the downside. And we actually anticipated this would go towards 1200. But lo and behold, it didn't. Something changed. We got a price pattern reversal. So when the software started to set up, what changed? Please, ready to be wowed? This is not for the faint of heart. This will absolutely shock you. And I know you've heard all sorts of things in the past, but this is the reality of the situation. This proves, without a doubt, what changed while we were $65+ move. Traders out there, can you make some money on a $65 move on gold? Well, what changed? My daily started to bottom, and we expected it to slingshot lower while the weekly was headed down. But during these multiple days, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, gave a gold trade alert for look for price to rally up into the zone before then potentially going lower. But by the time it took those 7, 8, 9, 10 days, my weekly changed direction in advance. Gave me signs, symptoms. Uh-oh, it's slingshotting up. Uh-oh, it's bottoming. So what did we do? We closed that long trade after what? After price proved its intentions. It tried the slingshot lower, failed, turned and hooked out. Bingo, we went long. Maximizing our profits. We took profits along the way, left the last little lot running, or last investment running until we saw signs of a reversal. Then we went to what? We closed the long trade and went short. Here's a live trading with gold right now. Same picture. This time the text is green because we're long. Now we're up over $41 on this up move. Ladies and gentlemen, can you consistently make profitable trades when you know the direction of the market? And you have a visual guide and gauge to help you tell you when it's going to change. This 4 hour, it took 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 26, about 30 hours to finally form, then engage. It engaged higher at the same time what? My daily was doing the same, right? So how cool is this? We took a winning, running with the trend direction, conditions in the market, conditions in the market changed. Bingo, the software anticipated in advance. We saw proof in the pudding. Price proved its intentions. We went long. Software said go long. Well, please note that this specific trade alert said that exact same thing, right? Trade alert went on to say, because the daily and weekly are moving towards the upside, we're going to look for a slingshot back to the upside. What happened right there? 4 hour slingshot engaging up. So what do? You close your short trade over $65+ that's been running, and you buy and go long. How cool is that? And we have continuation moves of that all the time. So what does this have to do with price pattern market reversals? When market reversals occur is when you see price patterns, right? Where you get a low, you get a high, you get a higher low. Then, of course, you start to get higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and it starts to retrace. Everyone knows that. Well, the software pegs this for us. It tries to slingshot lower and fails. Then it persists to slingshot higher, 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 all the way up from a reversal to a new direction of trend. How cool is that? And again, why is that? As I showed you on this chart, gold switched directions because the daily was bottoming and the weekly was bottoming and engaging higher. And we knew this in weeks in advance. We knew we were selling the downtrend for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, up and until signs and symptoms said, take your aggressive profits as we're going down, then look for closing the trade and go in the opposite direction. We have a visual target of doing so. Well, hopefully this is starting to make sense to everyone. Whenever we see reversals, it's based on multiple time frames cycling against each other. As this case, the daily was starting to top and roll, the weekly was starting to top and roll, and then a weekly tried to go higher as the monthly was headed lower. All the above here. Notice this scenario. As I place this here, what is my monthly doing? I can look at a chart on a weekly and see this type of price action and automatically know the trend of that monthly is down. Everybody type in yes. Trend of that is down. It's starting to slingshot back down, and we were headed down prior to this, tried to go higher and failed. Then did what? Turned and hooked out. That's a sell based on a failed slingshot, based on a high, a low, and a lower high. Well, how do I know should I have done it 1 month, this month, that month? Because it didn't turn and hook out until here when my weekly started to top and roll. When my daily started to, as I scroll back, top and roll. The time frames are aligning. This was several months back. But notice from the swing point high what the daily's doing. Then what does the daily do for us? Starts to slingshot lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Entry after entry after entry after entry. We also include take profit triggers. So when I introduced this many years ago, my faithful following said, well, I'd love if it was possible to automate some of this. That's where the automated slingshot triggers came in, and also the automated trade management system. So what all is included with this phenomenal software system? As we've been through several charts showing when the market reversals, how do I know when to stay in the downtrend versus when do I close that downtrend and switch gears, right? When did we close that short trade? We showed you in this screenshot, up over $65+ lower, banked the profits, then reversed, and now we're up over 40 to the upside. Wow. When did I know to do that? When the software in advance gave signs and symptoms. And not only in advance, but we put the trade alert out in advance to tell you exactly what to look for. So that when it made this exact move, you knew exactly what to do. So let's continue. Why is the price pattern reversal such a critical component? Because it's proving price's activity on the chart. Well, now we have a visual gauge as to why these price pattern reversals occur and when they occur and why they occur, because of the cycling time frames. So gold is no exception. Forex is the same, right? We can go through this over and over and over and over. Doesn't matter the currency, the stock, commodity, futures, the euro dollar. The euro dollar we talked about with the trade alert that we were moving lower. Look for price not to break this low, 35.02, and look for price to start to move higher, right? Starting to grind higher. That went out in a trade alert. So what do? I hold your hand telling you exactly what to do, and I place the trade accordingly. We're up over 60 plus pips, already taking profit. The bias is we're going to depressurize and still go a little higher before that correction's over and a downtrend continuation. But I'm going to look for price pattern reversals to prove that this is no longer a simple correction and it's continuing higher. It's already over and we're headed lower. If that turns out to be the case, we close the long trade and go back short. But we're banking profits over and over. So, what type of proof do you have that this truly works? Well, let's go over the David Letterman top 10 list. Top 10 reasons why the MPAP2 software will change your life. It calculates support and resistance levels automatically. It identifies the trend of each time frame automatically. It monitors and tracks the time frame cycles. Hey, that's a benefit. It provides consistent entries, timing of entries, exits, and take profits based on what? Trade triggers, slingshots, and profit triggers. We have a trade management system due to feedback from our customer base, our students. So we'd love for you to automate some of these features. That trade management system will enter upon your entry criteria so you can tell it to buy the dips in an uptrend or sell the rallies in a downtrend. It will automatically manage the trade from entry to exit. It fits any trading style, no matter if you're a day trader, scalper, position trader. I've turned a lot of scalpers into day traders, position traders, and long-term investors when they realize the same results produce hundreds and hundreds of dollar moves, where instead of getting in for 50 cents and bailing too early, to understand the cycles of time and the direction of that trend and look for those price pattern reversals and particular events, signs and symptoms as I like to call it, to then trade accordingly. And yes, no one can predict the future. You don't hear me ever say, well, I predict this. I always anticipate it. And even in the midst of anticipating it, when it plays out uncannily, it plays out frequently just like it's supposed to. But there are times when it changes, like gold. We expected gold initially go lower, but signs and symptoms and chart patterns changed. The system told you in advance, screamed at you. Daily bottoming, weekly engaging, 4-hour slingshot engaging. It's screaming, close the long trade, close the short trade, go long. We have dual scanners. I haven't even shown that to you yet. I'll briefly show those in just a moment. We have 2 different scanners setting up and scans the markets for the next big trade so you don't miss it. We have platform now that the software functions on stocks, futures, forex, ETFs, commodities, over 800 symbols so that you can trade any financial market. And this is a big one. It consistently delivers low risk, high reward, high probability trades. So if you'll allow me a few more seconds, right, going back to the charts. Well, this is not a huge gain. It was up over 70 pips, up at 60 now. Well, we banked several pips down, we banked pips up, we banked pips down, we banked pips up. So as you start to trade with multiple lots using very specific rules of engagement, and as I mentioned, this is completely customizable. Once I go into the trade management system, I can tell them how many lots I'm trading, where to put my stop losses, take profits. I go on to then tell, hey, I want to trade slingshots higher, triggers higher, slingshots lower, triggers lower. There's different types of triggers, a position trigger, a optimized trigger. Everything's in here, and I simply just tell it true or false. Completely customizable for any type of trader. And it works like nothing you've ever seen. So, what else? As we finish up our presentation, why the consistently deliver the low, high risk, high probability? That's when the time frames align. Well, what do you have to help me know when the time frames are aligning? Well, notice this. This is what we call our slice of heaven finder. This is when the daily is lining with the 4 hour and the 1 hour. This is the majority of trades I'm about to show you and explain are the result of this scanner telling us exactly what's setting up. A lot of currency pairs were getting trigger short. Then the 4 hour is going to try to form a slingshot up. Should it fail, which it's supposed to, right? We showed you that price pattern reversal. When this slingshot up fails, then you go short with the higher trend. All of this is explained in great detail. But look at the find. One of these trades you can trade for weeks on end. Multiple entries along the way as these continue to show and find new results. It scans all the time getting the fresh trades. It's like Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme. When the little red light goes on, the fresh donuts are there. Well, this baby scans and gives you the fresh trades setting up. That's just one of the scanners. The other scanner looks like this. It's called the Market Price Premium Edition 2 scanner after its namesake, and it looks just like this. This is completely customizable, so if you trade stocks, commodities, futures, whatever's in the market watch, your list of symbols, you can add to the scanner. Now this scanner is a little bit different. It tells you every time frame, the direction of the trend, what slingshots are forming and or engaging. See the bold ones? Everybody see that? They're bolded. That means they're currently engaging. When they're light pink, that means they're forming to the downside. When they're bolded, they're engaging. Or when they're green, they're forming to the upside. And when they're bolded, they're engaging. It tells you everything you need, including your average daily range, at a glance, constantly scanning the markets. So you wonder why I can't go over all of these components in one small session. There's so much to cover. Well, let's finish. As we move on, what about the results? You have a compelling story. I see your gold trade is huge. I'd love to have been in that down move, and I'd love to have been in that up move. That was in the last couple of weeks of the down move, and now the up move, mostly today. Here's one on Apple. Got a trigger to go short. Slingshot lower, 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 lower when Apple was on a tear down. Apple then gave us a price pattern reversal. We started to go long. But you can see the type of income that this system can generate. Here's one on Google. When Google was on its top and reversal, multiple time frames topping, slingshot tried to engage higher, failed right there, turned and hooked out, went short. Started to move lower. It moved into my favor. Stop loss was in risk up here. Moved automatically into profit, making it a no-risk trade. And we went on to hit this take profit. Before then, obviously, Google split 7 for 1 and price changed dramatically. But you can see this is over an $80 move on Google. Stock traders out there, can you make money on an $80 move? Euro yen currency, 183 pips. One standard lot, that's $1,830. $10 per pip, one standard lot on average. Here's this one, 289 pips, euro pound. Again, the phenomenon of scaling in, scaling in, scaling in, scaling in, scaling in to the downside. Slingshotting our way to glory. Pound dollar. 440 pips. Start to do the math on that. $10 per pip, that's $4,400. One trade. Here's one over 600 pips on the Aussie dollar going higher. Multiple time frames bottom, got a price pattern reversal. Go long, my friends, and look out. 600 plus pip. That's over $6,000 move on one lot. Continue. 922 pips. Selling the rallies. Slingshotting our way lower and lower and lower. Riding the train. Selling the rallies in a downtrend. Managing it by an automated system. Here's one over $59 move previously on gold to the upside. Love trading gold. Here's gold back to the downside over a 54, almost $55 move going into this portion when I took this screenshot. Up, down, sideways. Euro Aussie over 1,142 pips. Add a zero to that. Wow, that's 11,420 on this one trade. Well, what if I was trading with 10 standard lots? As my account grows, I can trade with more lots. Potential's unlimited. Student submitted this screenshot. He took the software signals, placed trades in his TradeStation account, and he tallied up 8,600 pips. Numerous currency pairs, and if you tally up all these numbers, it tallies to 8,600. Well, because the system was in a multiple time frame maneuver, he followed the direction of the higher trend, and all of a sudden that's turned into 18,000 pips and counting. Well, here's another screenshot of that same TradeStation account. All these trades, you add these numbers up, tally 18,300. If he was just trading with one standard lot, add a zero to that. That's some serious income. OddCAD, not only is this one trade up over 600 pips, but notice the tally of several pips running, 29,000. Simply using 1 and 2 standard trade lots. Consistency. Now, Gary, is this system, does it ever fail? Sure it does. Market conditions, it occasionally does fail. But as you will understand, when you set up and wait for multiple time frames to align, those trades are far and few between. It can happen, but the good news is when it does happen, you have a warning sign of a slingshot engaging against your trade up, or a warning sign of a slingshot engaging against your trade down, so you can make appropriate adjustments. Close it for a small loss. Take it for a small profit. Move it to break even plus one. All right?
Thank you, Gary. Yep. I want to make sure we get your contact information out there. We're just a minute over. But if we could just make sure that we got everybody, I'm going to send that out to all right now.
Okay, here's the link. If you would post that link, this is where you find our trial. $47. You get the class, the software, and the alerts for $47. Just click on this link, and we'd love for you to join us as the MPA P2 software. And of course, one last, I would like to state, we have over 87 countries and counting where we have a student base from 87 different countries. Thank you for your time and attention. We look forward to you joining us. Thank you, everyone.